I would shove that grief down and be like, you don't get to be here right now. And then if I would have moments where it would bubble over and I'd be upset, I'd be like, oh my God, why are you crying about this? And I'd probably say in the last 5 years is when a lot of healing has really happened. I just realized I'm past my 5-year anniversary of giving up alcohol.
Hey everyone, I'm Angeline Constantinou, and this is Her Unapologetic Voice. This podcast was created for women who lead but are done leading from apology. Here we have real, unfiltered conversations about boundaries, truth, and confidence. The kind of talks that remind you your voice is not something you find once, it's something you build. Every episode will give you something real to take with you, whether it's a boundary script, a reflection tool, or simply the courage to say what you really mean. So if you're ready to lead from your truth, not from approval, this is your space. Your unapologetic voice starts here. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Her Unapologetic Voice, the podcast where we create space for honest conversations about healing, resilience, and stepping into the most authentic version of ourselves. And today's episode is one that speaks directly to my heart. Grief is something every one of us will experience at some point in life. Yet it's often one of the least talked about journeys. Many people are told they should move on or get over it. But the truth is that healing doesn't work that way. Today, we are exploring a powerful message that grief and joy can coexist. My guest today is Tara Porter, the founder of the global movement On Fridays We Dance. After experiencing the devastating loss of both her daughter, Harper, and her mother, Tara began sharing her story with raw honesty, creating space for conversations around grief, resilience, and healing. Now a certified grief coach, Tara supports people around the world as they navigate loss, reconnect to themselves, and find light in the in-between seasons of life. Through storytelling, movement, and courageous vulnerability, she reminds us that even in our darkest seasons, joy is still possible. So, without further ado, Tara, welcome to the show.
Hi, Angeline. Thank you so much for having me today.
You're welcome. I always ask all my guests, what time is it where you are and what's the temperature outside?
It is 10:17 a.m., so I'm in Eastern Standard Time. Today we do have, it's a balmy day. It's probably 7 degrees today, Celsius, which, what would that be, 37? We had a ton of snow this winter, and in the past week, the rain has come, it's washed it away, and now it's all the dirty grit that is left with it.
And I used to live
coming.
Spring is coming in the Northeast, so brace yourselves because be prepared for nice warm weather.
Yeah.
I know you've had a rough winter up there, but we always persevere, right?
Yeah, I enjoy the changing of the seasons. I do like it, but you get to the end of one, it's like, bring it on.
Exactly.
Ready for the blooms, ready for life again.
Exactly. Ready for life again. And that's so important, especially when we are talking about grieving, because your story is both heartbreaking and also very inspiring as well. Can you share the moment where everything changed for you after losing your daughter, Harper, and your mother?
Honestly, it took years to get there. I think I buckled down, just did what I had to do. Everybody kind of would always say I had young kids. Like when my mom died, my youngest, I was pregnant with him. My oldest was 3. And I had just was going into my own design business, do house plans and that sort of thing. It was like, you need to keep it together. I would shove that grief down and be like, you don't get to be here right now. And then if I would have moments where it would bubble over and I'd be upset, I'd be like, oh my God, why are you crying about this? And I'd probably say in the last 5 years is when a lot of healing has really happened. I would have been I just realized I'm past my 5-year anniversary of giving up alcohol. That became more of a crutch to me dealing with, life, a business. During COVID, everything was so crazy, online learning at home here. And I realized I really needed a break. So I gave it up. A lot of health issues that I was starting to face went away. But as I was no longer numbing myself, I could lean into feeling. Again, I talk about feeling your feelings,
Right.
but really, really allowing them to surface when they surfaced and not making it wrong. I always made it wrong. And I think because I compartmentalized so many things, it was like, okay, I can do it. And about 2 years ago, I was doing some therapy work. I saw someone with EMDR, so it's rapid eye desensitize. I don't even know the proper. Anyway, I leaned into some old childhood beliefs of not being good enough. But then what managed to surface was it was in a really beautiful 2.5 hour session, giving myself grace for not being the mom I wanted to be when my kids were little, because I just didn't have the capacity. When I could lean into that healing, like probably cried solid for 2.5 hours. It was literally like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. And from there, I guess for almost 2 years ago, I started randomly just to get through. It would have been about this time of year when you have rainy days and it's blah and you just need to pick up to get through the day. I started dancing in my kitchen. And I do a little recording, just being a complete goofball and sending it off to a couple friends or my sister. And we'd laugh. And one day I had done it, and it was like there was like a little voice on my shoulder, and it just said, just post it on Instagram. Everybody needs a laugh.
I love that.
Threw it into my stories, and it was Wilson Phillips, hold on for one more day, because who doesn't get going?
Yeah.
Grabbed my wooden spoon, because everybody needs a wooden spoon microphone.
Oh, there you go. I love it.
It was pretty funny. The amount of messages I got, can you please make this regular content? We need more of this in our life. I was like, why not? Because dancing, like with my mom, we would always have kitchen dance parties. And sometimes it would be dancing around the island or dancing in the living room, or we'd come into the, like where we grew up, we'd come in and we'd roll up. They had an area rug. We'd roll up the carpet and throw it down the stairs and have a dance party in the family room. It was so funny.
So funny. When TikTok started and all the dancing and everything.
Yeah, I'm definitely not like TikTok dances by any means. I'm just go with what moves me.
I love that.
My best friend said, you really need to use this as an opportunity to share your journey through grief. What I started doing was sharing my story, sharing about how hard it was to lose Harper and have, that there were problems with her and the fear that went into my pregnancy after that. What made it, I think, even harder was literally a year later on Christmas Day, losing my mom. She'd been sick with cancer for about 3.5 years, 4.5 years maybe. And it was like my world imploded. So to be able to talk about it and normalize it, and the messages I've received, DMs or text messages or conversations with people, they're like, thank you for normalizing grief. I feel normal and what I'm feeling. And a lot of it has been the anger that surfaces with it, that and the resentment that we don't feel like we deserve to have. And yet it's all emotions, all feelings are valid, and none of them are bad or wrong. It's just in how we deal with them. And when we allow them to be there, they can move through instead of staying trapped.
I love that.
And in sharing my story, in allowing grief and joy, that's kind of what I got to. It's like, it's okay to have grief in this hand, but you can also have joy in this hand. We don't have to feel guilty for finding moments of joy.
Exactly.
And things can be true at the same time.
Right. And we talk about that because I want to talk about that because many people struggle with the idea that grief and joy can exist at the same time.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not allowed, or you're not honoring their memory.
Right. Like in the Greek culture. Okay. So actually,
yeah, tell me more about that.
In the Greek culture, my uncle, this is a long time ago when I was in high school. In high school, I got a phone call. I was asked to go to the principal's office. I'm like, what is going on here? I went to the principal's office and learned that my uncle had passed away. And then my mom's friend picked me up. We went to the restaurant that my parents owned, a luncheonette and candy store. When I went to the restaurant, my mom was like bawling her head off. It was my dad's brother. Mm-hmm. And, she wore black and like, you have to wear black for 30 days. I said, how can I do that when I'm in school? I said, that's not going to work. But like in that generation, they've been told to grieve, like really grieve, like conditioned to grieve and not enjoy life. You can't enjoy your life for 3 years. I'm like, oh no, that doesn't happen. Not that I did crazy things, but it's like my dad passed away. My mom died of cancer 8 years ago, and it caused me to move into my purpose, which is to start my podcast and all of that, all the good things. And an awakening happened. And then when my dad passed away on Christmas Day.
Your dad died Christmas Day too?
My dad died Christmas Day. He went to go live with the Lord on Christmas Day in 2024. I was at the bottom of the total. Was going through sort of a dark period in my life at that time, but I rose from the ashes after that. But like the grief was so overwhelming because now you realize that your parents are not here anymore. My only wish is that my parents had enjoyed life more after they retired, but my mom had health issues, and then my dad later on had health issues, and he had dementia and Alzheimer's. I'm glad we're talking about this because so many people are conditioned to believe that you just have to mourn and grieve and not enjoy life and not dance and I love to dance.
So fun. And it can totally shift your mood, like really quickly.
And your healing journey. Let's talk about your healing journey.
As I began sharing more of my healing journey on Instagram, on Fridays we dancing, the silliness, sometimes, by myself, sometimes I'll add in other people. I started having flashbacks from my childhood where I had no idea I had been sexually molested by my uncle. He was 9 years older than I am. It was my mom's youngest brother. He was experimenting with his own sexuality and not understanding his sexuality. And it was devastating, to say the least. How the flashback surfaced was me going to my grandmother and telling her I didn't feel comfortable with my uncle. And like, I can see it clear as day still now, where she would just she shark-eyed me. She was looking at me and ignoring me. Again, back in the early 80s, you sweep it under the rug. And part of the healing journey, it's learning to listen to our bodies remember things, our bodies tell us things, and our brain can be so quick to go, no, that's not right. But it was I can't even describe it, heaviest feeling in my gut. And I knew I had to listen to it. I cannot even begin to talk about how grateful I am for when I told my family, my parent, like my dad, my siblings, my aunt, my only living relative, aunt on that side of the family, everybody believed me. They asked questions. There wasn't anybody going, oh, that's not true, because everybody else that was involved had passed on. But I just said, I truly believe, because I've allowed this part of my grief to surface and heal, and it's not taking up space inside my body anymore. My subconscious mind was like, all right, girl, you're ready. You can heal this part of yourself too. And while it's been utterly devastating in a lot of ways, and it's made me grieve my mom on a different level, because she's the one person that I just want to be able to hold me and be able to cry with, and she's not here. The anger that surfaced with her not being told at the time. And my dad even asked, he said, did you try to tell us? I said, no, I know I didn't. I know I didn't. But in flashbacks that came back, my uncle had told me if anybody knew the bad things I did, no one would love me. Wow. So it's again, which I know he was a very damaged person that didn't get the support he needed, but it's the reality of, I now understand why I am the way I am. I think I was always a perfectionist growing up. I needed to prove my worth. I was never feeling like I was never good enough. And that, even in the last couple of months, going, okay, you don't have to prove it to anybody else. You need to just know that you were born worthy and you always will be worthy. And don't try to dim your light to make other people comfortable.
Exactly.
Because that's what I've done. I would be like, oh, I can't show up like that here because they won't feel comfortable with it, or I have to. And now I'm just, again, my kids are embarrassed as hell when I dance and post these videos, but you know what? We're having fun.
We're human. We're authentically you.
Yeah.
And not worrying about what other people think, including our family members.
Yeah. And in doing so, met you through this book that we are all a part of.
And I want to talk about that, about the movement, Breaking the Silence.
Breaking the Silence.
Which was released last week on March 4th. And 2 days before, I was in Tampa, St. Petersburg on business. So on Monday, I checked out of the hotel and I met Michelle in person at a local coffee shop. And it was that was the first time I met her, because I had interviewed Michelle on my podcast 4 years ago. And that's when Breaking the Silence was
gaining
started.
momentum. I have full body chills still.
And chills, like even when we went live.
Oh my God, I cried watching
There's
that.
almost the views. There's like 1.5K views now. And it was, for me, being in the book, and you, both of us, we all have a story to share with the world, everyone. So, like, for me, it's emotional.
So emotional.
And some of my friends already purchased the book. So, what did the book do for you? Let's talk about your chapter in the book.
So in my chapter, which I was starting to write, I was like, I need to write my story. I need to write a book. And part of my Instagram posts is my captions. I always share a heartfelt something with it. So a lot of my regular viewers, they enjoy the dance, but they enjoy reading what I have. So I was like, let's start writing a book. But I felt somewhat lost in a direction where to go, and ended up finding Michelle, talking with her. So I was like, this feels like a safe way for me to, because it's the I'll do it, but then I would I call it Panic at the Disco, and then I kind of freeze up and be like, ooh. So it was beautiful that there was an outline, that we had the outline of the chapter to do, what's happened, what was I call it the TSN turning point. Sports are huge in our lives here. And then where you're at now, like giving your readers hope, like how can they find hope to get through whatever darkness they're going through? And as I started writing, it could spew, and I'm like, I have like over 12,000 words. We're supposed to keep it to 4,000. I've got to
I know.
And Michelle's like, don't even worry. Like, cut out all the stuff she goes, I know you are going to write your own book. So in it, I talked about, majority of it was losing Harper, and what that was like. And then went into losing my mom a year later, going into, again, like what I had shared earlier about not drinking anymore. And then coming into the On Fridays We Dance. But what I know, when you're grieving, it's like you want to go back to, like when I started, and even when my mom died, I remember thinking, because Harper's birthday was December 28th and she died at birth. So, we go into a new year, and New Year's always supposed to be a celebration. So the following year, I'm like, I can't start another new year off in grief. I can't do this. I cannot do. And I know that I hadn't even remotely really been grieving, but I was like, I just want to fast forward. Like, let me get to the good stuff. And it's not how grief works. But even in grief, it's like and in life and trauma and healing, it's like an onion, right? It happens in layers. You think, oh, I've dealt with this, and then something else comes up again. And I'm like, we're back to this. Yeah, like it's literally there. And I wanted to get back to the person I was before I had been grieving. What grief has shown me is that version of me was never meant to be the version I am now. I'm not trying to put the silver lining on it, because grief is hard. And like you said, we're all going to deal with it at some point. But what it's shown me is what was no longer serving me in my life. And again, we can't compare ourselves to anybody else. It feels like it's taken me a long time to get here, but I'm here.
You're here.
And I'm doing it.
That's right. You're here and you're doing it. And we are all here. I'm here as well. Part of our healing process is to share our stories. And because there are so many people who, we were talking about this earlier, suppressing your grief. So how can people process grief? Like, what are some of the tools that you teach? That I know that part of it is the dancing, but like, how can they process the grief? Because some people are just so hurt, even 20 years.
Yeah. Well, and in a lot of the, and I've recently I'm finishing up this grief coaching certification. I'm this close to the final thing. But what I've learned in it, a lot of people, it takes almost 5 years till people reach out for therapy. And I can look back and know I was offered a social worker right away through the hospital Harper was born at. And I was like, no, I'll be fine. Now, I did at different stages in my life. I've often gone for therapy. And then, you get to a point, and I've always known the grief coaching, it's different than therapy. It's giving you, literally, I call it the toolbox. And a lot of things that have really helped me have been more holistic. Like a lot of energy work, Reiki, where you can learn to listen to the signs your body's giving you, like the lump in your throat, right? When you're stifling, or it's to pause and be able to mindfulness, breathe deep, breathe into your belly, 4 deep breath, for a count of 4, and then slowly over the count of 6, let it go. How can you find, is there a ritual that you would enjoy. Like sometimes it's just, here's a candle. I'm thinking of you. I'm going to light the candle so you can sit with me.
Exactly.
But honoring what's there. I find a lot yoga
Helps.
walking,
That's what I
yoga.
do.
Yeah. Like yoga has,
Yoga has helped me so much.
Connecting back to our bodies.
Right.
Not staying because it's normal and we can only do so much, but the distracting we do, right, like, or the numbing, right? The drinking, the shopping, the keeping ourselves busy. I've been notorious when I go for walks with my dogs, let's throw in a podcast, let's throw in a music, let's talk to a friend. And I'm trying to get more back into, let's just allow this time in nature to be grounding. Let's notice what's going on around us. Harper, she surfaces for me as butterflies.
Yeah.
So we're coming into the time as the summer comes and we start to get our butterfly visitors, and my mom, she comes back as dragonflies. So when we get those, I'm just like, thank you.
Yeah.
But even noticing, and it's not, maybe some people don't believe that, but if whatever belief you have, if there's a way I can support you to anchor in and allow that to become part of your daily rituals of what you do to support yourself.
Exactly. And what are some of those rituals, daily practices that you recommend to your clients?
Journaling.
Yep.
Journaling's huge. Again, just the meditation if you can. So sometimes it's a guided meditation. A lot more if you can sit and just be with your thoughts and focus on your breath. That's a lot harder.
Right.
Why am I drawing a blank on the things that it's talking about it? Talk about a friend, talk about a memory, talk about what's hard. We don't have to keep it in.
Exactly.
But to even journaling's a huge part to recognize if there's, I find now it's not even so much the anniversaries that come up, like leading into Christmas every year. I know that it's not actually Christmas Day. That's hard for me, but it will be at some point in December, like leading into I'll just have a day where grief hits me. And in the past, almost every year, I will end up, usually it's the start of December, I will get sick as can be because it's like grief has surfaced and I'm like, ooh,
right.
I don't have time for you today. You got to take the back burner. You're going to have to go back here because I got work to do. And then my body goes, okay, you're not going to listen when I need you to listen. I'm going to make you. And I get sick. So this year, and I was recognizing it more, I was feeling it. I'm like, okay, we're going to take our day and we're going to cry. And I cried and I journaled and I just allowed myself to be, and I didn't make it wrong. And I was pretty excited that this year I did not get sick before Christmas.
That's great.
Yeah. But it's journaling, for myself has been huge. And I think in a huge part of that, like in writing my chapter with Michelle, I could go back to different things I journaled and I was like, shit, I don't even remember writing that, but it was profound healing for me.
Sure. Journaling for me was everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Going through my divorce, going through that process. I journal every single day to this day. I may miss a couple of days, but otherwise but
then it's still like, it's just like when you just allow the pen to paper, like you can talk about it, but even sometimes if I've sat here and I've thought about it, when I actually put pen to paper, it's like,
oh yeah.
Look what came there.
Exactly. Look what came there. Oh my gosh. And I can't wait until the event on
what is that, March 30th?
March 30th. Yes. So on March 30th, there is going to be a live event in Tampa at Oxford University. So breaking the silence, all of us authors are coming together. We're going to be doing a book signing that night. There's going to be photographers. There's going to be everything. We have to be there at 5:00. So I'm going to be in Tampa the day before.
That's good.
Yeah. So how excited are you about the book signing and everything?
There's a lot of moving parts right now. I think I'm going to be a game time decision if I'm going to be able to come. So it's just with stuff with my kids and different sporting events. The dollar isn't the greatest right now. Exchange rate. So I've set the intention, if I'm really meant to be there, all the stars will align that I can be there. I'm going to have my own little book launch here in Ontario for my community, but I really want to be there. I really want to meet everybody. It's one thing to be in a Zoom meeting with everybody in our meetings, but to actually meet people, and I'm a hug person, to give people hugs.
I'm a hugger too. Where can people reach you before we close this out?
Always great on Instagram. what am I? Tara Porter Official. Facebook, Tara Porter. TikTok, I don't post as much on there.
Okay.
But what's my account? Dancing Designer.
All of Tara's links will be in the show notes. All right, now to close this out, if someone is listening right now who feels like they will never feel whole after loss, what would you want them to hear today?
In this moment, you might not feel whole. Love on yourself. Put your hand on your heart and know that there will come a day when you will. You literally feel like you're going to die of a broken heart, and your heart does break. It feels like it's shattered. And what I've said, it's, if you've broken a vase or a teacup and something and it was important to you and you glue it back together and it's just not the same, you can kind of see the glue marks. I like to picture a fancy teacup. And I've glued it together, but in that glue, what has happened is there's now gold glitter. And as I've come back into myself, that glue is showing that you are not the same as what you originally were. But in sharing my light and sharing my story, there's like a gold light that shines through those cracks in that teacup, through that glue, that you can see.
Right.
You're not the same. That grief will forever be in your heart.
Okay.
But give yourself grace and you'll get through it. It just takes time and you can't force it.
You can't force it, is right. Exactly. Take your time.
Take your time, and it's okay to be honest and say, I'm not having a good day. You don't need to pretend for anybody.
There you go. Absolutely. I agree with you. Great advice. And thank you so much, Tara.
Thanks for talking today, Angeline.
Oh, you're welcome, Tara. And today's conversation, it's a beautiful reminder that healing isn't about forgetting the people we love or pretending the pain never existed. So it's about learning to carry our stories, sharing our stories with compassion and courage. Tara's message shows us that even in the deepest grief, joy can still find its way back to us. Tara, thank you so much for your vulnerability and for creating a movement that reminds people around the world that even in the hardest seasons, life is still worth dancing through. Yes, I love dance. So, listeners, if today's episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who may need this message of hope and healing. So please follow Her Unapologetic Voice on my YouTube channel and on Spotify and on all the live streaming platforms that you listen to. I would love a rating and a review because that will just amplify our voices and help with the algorithms. Please subscribe, follow me on Unapologetic Voice at Unapologetic Voices, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. So everyone have a great day. Thank you. Thank you. I cannot wait to read your chapter, by the way.
I can't wait to read yours. Thank you for creating this platform for these conversations to happen.
You're welcome. That's what the platform is here for.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
See ya. Thank you for listening to Her Unapologetic Voice. Every conversation here is meant to help you build confidence from the inside out and find strength in your own words. If today's message resonated, follow the show and share it with a friend who's ready to lead from who she truly is. You can also connect with me on social media at Her Unapologetic Voice Podcast for updates and behind the scenes insights. Remember, confidence begins when you stop apologizing for your truth and start speaking from it. I'm Angeline Constantinou, and I will see you in the next episode.